Edwin C. Bailey has been the director of the Alachua County Public Safety Department since February of 2010. Prior to that, he was the chief of the Fire Rescue Department. He has been employed by Alachua County since 1980, when he was the first firefighter employed by the then new Alachua County Fire Department. Chief Bailey has an A.S. degree in fire science, an A.S. in emergency medical service, and is a certified public manager. He is a member of the Florida Fire Chiefs Association, the International Association of Fire Chiefs, the National Fire Protection Association, and of the Florida Association of Counties EMS Board. Welcome, Chief.
Good afternoon.
I've been looking forward to having you on. I had your predecessor, Will, I think, was on more times than any other guest we ever had. So it's a pleasure to have you. Chief, one thing I wanted to kind of understand was, it seems like it was a couple years ago now, we went from being the Fire Rescue Department to the Public Safety Department. Can you just tell us quickly what motivated that change?
Well, for several years our primary focus was fire and rescue, but our department now is actually a full service emergency service or public safety department. We not only provide fire rescue, we've always provided advanced life support ambulance service. We have an emergency management section that is known nationally. In fact, one of the previous directors of that section is Craig Fugate. Right. We're very proud of that. And then we have an enhanced 911 communications section that oversees all of E911. When someone dials 911, there's a lot of logistics involved with that. He oversees that. And then of course we have our finance and administration section, but we consider ourselves as a full service provider of public safety emergency services.
So it just seemed more accurate to have that umbrella name. Well, why don't we talk about your divisions and the services that you provide in some detail. And of course, when most people think of public safety or fire services, they're thinking about that core fire rescue service. Can you tell us about what you provide the county in that respect?
We have committed over with the budget issues that not only the county and the state and federal level have had the last few years, we've committed to maintaining our core services. And those are the essential ones that we provide to the citizens and the visitors to Alachua County. The rescue is our busiest service that we have. This last 12-month period, we responded about 35,000 calls in Alachua County.
Just rescue calls?
Just rescue calls. Oh. And that's from 12 strategically located rescue units throughout the county. So the calls per unit ratio is pretty high there. And then our fire engines, which are all also advanced life support, responded to about another 13,000 incidents. So we stay very busy with that.
Now, Chief, do we have 12 fire stations?
Actually, no, we don't.
Freestanding EMS?
We have a combination. There's actually 9 fire stations. And then we have, of the 12 ambulances, we have one that's co-located with the city station. We have a few that are co-located in the fire stations, and then there's 5 of them that are actually freestanding EMS, purely EMS stations.
And fire services you provide in the unincorporated area of the county, and you have contracts with what municipalities?
We are responsible for all fire suppression in the unincorporated area, plus the cities of Waldo and Hawthorne, Archer, and Alachua. I see. And then we have contracts with the other departments or municipalities. City of Gainesville being the largest, that respond. They help us in the unincorporated area, and we respond and help them inside the city of Gainesville.
I see.
Equal number of responses. Actually, it's grown to that over the years. Then we contract with Cross Creek in Windsor, Micanopy, Newberry and La Crosse, High Springs, and Melrose.
I see. And for EMS services, though, you cover the entire county, is that correct?
EMS services, what we call ground transport. We are the sole hospital provider, pre-hospital provider in Alachua County. We do both emergency and non-emergency transports, but our core service is emergency transports and emergency response to the citizens.
And sometimes this can be kind of complicated to understand, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume EMS services are funded by the county's general fund, since they receive, the entire county receives those services, but fire is funded through the municipal services taxing unit, is that correct?
Right, through the fire MSTU. And a lot of people don't realize that, and they wouldn't, because we're all in the same trucks, same colored trucks and same uniforms, but all of our personnel are dual certified, meaning that they are all firefighters and or EMTs, emergency medical technicians, or paramedics. But the EMS component, which is the ambulance transport, is funded out of general fund. We do our own billing and actually collections in that division. We are proud to say that we have one of the highest collections in the southeastern United States. It's way above industry standard. This last year was about 76%. Industry standard's about 60%.
And this is the fee for using the ambulance
Fee
service?
for using the ambulance service if we come out and evaluate you, or if we transport you to the hospital. And out of our about a $13 million budget, we've actually collected nearly half of that.
Oh, is that right?
Right. So the offset there, and for our department, is huge. And again, it dovetails into the expense to the county overall is significantly reduced.
Right, because those revenues don't have to come out of the property tax.
Right. And then, as we said, the fire side of the organization is out of the fire MSTU.
Right.
And then emergency management a lot of that comes out of grants and general fund, because it's also countywide. And the office of E911 is out of grants and general fund too.
When I think of kind of traditional core fire service, I also think of the fire marshal and what those folks do. Is he under that division?
Right. The fire marshal is in the fire rescue section.
I see.
That office consists of the fire marshal and 3 inspectors or investigators. They've actually lost personnel through our budget reductions, as many departments in the county have.
Right.
But they are in the fire rescue section. They handle building inspections and arson investigation and those type of things.
Let's move on to E911. We've got that big communications center over where emergency management is, and the combined communications center. What part of dialing 911 is handled by your office, or what services?
Well, enhanced 911, if our office is actually the point of the spear, if you will, for emergency communications and reporting an incident or an emergency or non-emergency. When you dial 911, it is the county's enhanced 911 office that actually equipment actually answers that call. If it was not for E911, the board's department, those calls actually could not be processed.
Now let me make sure I'm just clear on this. It's not necessarily our personnel answering the phone.
Right.
Those folks work for the Combined Communications Center, which is overseen by the sheriff. So explain that to me. How is it our equipment?
We provide all the equipment.
Oh, I see.
The computers, all the infrastructure that goes into place, so that whenever, regardless of where you're at in the county, if you dial 911, it's the equipment that the E911 office provides to the communication center that facilitates that call being processed.
And we maintain that equipment?
We maintain the equipment. Actually, this year, the board authorized the purchase of approximately $1.9 million for a new phone system next generation, that they've tagged it, in the Combined Communications Center, that allows us to answer not only a voice call, a text call.
Oh.
It brings us into and prepares us for the future. And that was done completely through the Office of Enhanced 911. We have the ability in that office to set funds aside for large purchases like this. And without that ability, we would have had to go to the board and ask for money from reserves, which we know would not probably not happen.
Huh.
And a lot of people just, they don't understand, and they rightfully so would not understand how much goes in and what's all involved in E911. The other thing that our Enhanced 911 office does is it addresses all the properties in the county.
Oh,
So
right, the GIS kind of element of it.
Portion of it. In fact, we are just now we're about to secure an agreement with the city of Gainesville, working with their management and the city manager, that for the first time, all addresses will be addressed the same, and they'll go through the county's E911 office.
Interesting.
So regardless of where you live in the county, whether you're in the municipality or in the county, unincorporated area, your address through one centralized point, which provides consistency to those addresses, and in turn allows the emergency responders to better know where the locations are.
It's amazing how it's all kind of folding into each other. I mean, I guess now if you call on a smartphone, won't be too long before you'll be able to see right where that is through GIS, won't you?
The technology that is coming our way, it would not surprise me that someone could dial 911 and take a smartphone and show the real-time video clip,
right. Oh, right.
and transmit it right down to the center.
Huh.
Actually, right now, as we speak, because of the advancements in the computer-aided dispatch, the CAD, tying into GIS and with the Office of E911, when a unit is dispatched to a call, a unit meaning a fire truck or an ambulance is dispatched to the call, the CAD mapping unit within the CAD predetermines the route and knows the truck that's selected. It selects the truck by the truck that is actually the quickest to arrive, not necessarily the closest.
Right. Takes into account speed limits, traffic flow,
number of turns, number of red lights,
right,
and the type of unit, whether it's a fire truck or an ambulance.
Oh.
And predetermines a route. Once the unit goes responding, which they have 60 seconds to do from being dispatched, the CAD, through satellites, triangulates the movement of that vehicle and changes the intersection red lights ahead of the unit, so that whenever they are approaching an intersection, the lights have already changed green and they can move through it.
And those few seconds can be the difference between life and death.
Absolutely. And you know, and when I started in this business, we were dispatched by radio. You dial 911, and the call taker actually pulled a plug and plugged it into the right line and wrote everything down. And we responded on a fire truck where the firefighters rode on the tailboard.
Right.
Of the
now, those
truck.
weren't horse-drawn wagons, were they?
No, we'd gotten past that. We did still have some wooden ladders, though. But today is just it is phenomenal with the technology and what we're able to do.
Yeah. You know, I know that also under your department chief is the emergency management office, and 6 years ago I had the pleasure of being on the job for a week when the storms in 2004 hit, and I was told to go out to the EOC, and I wasn't quite sure what EOC stood for, but when I got there, you guys were great about showing me the ropes and taking me under my wings, under your wings. Tell us a little bit about emergency management. And I know Dave Donnelly is your manager out there, and he's been with the county for a long time. And you mentioned Craig Fugate. For those at home that might not know, he's now the director of FEMA.
Right.
And he came to Alachua County and then went to the state and then went to the feds. But what does emergency management do? What service does that provide?
Well, emergency management, they are probably one of the most utilized and under-recognized services, not only in Alachua County, but anywhere. Because emergency management is very involved in pre-planning.
Right.
And making sure that plans are in place, that elements are secured, agreements are taken care of prior to the event or the disaster, then training for that, and then, you know, when the emergency response is over with and things are kind of getting put back to order, emergency management is still typically active 24 hours a day,
Right.
7 days a week, mitigating and putting things back to where they were, and making sure that everybody's taken care of. We have a very, very nice emergency management center that's co-located out on East Hawthorne Road at the Sheriff's Office. Up-to-date technology all across, but they not only provide all of that planning, which and the citizens wouldn't realize that planning then ties back to funding. Mm-hmm. You have to have those plans in place and certified.
A lot of training too. Dave makes us go to a lot of classes.
A lot of training to prepare you,
right.
you know, for that for the event if and when it occurs. And we were also up until this year, we had a very strong CERT program, which is the Community Emergency Response Team. Right. We train individuals for that, and it's quite involved. He does our emergency management does a phenomenal job with 3 people.
Right.
It's
some people may not realize, but you know, the county was active during Dove outreach. Local law enforcement was taking the lead, kind of out in the field, but the EOC was activated and ready in case there was some catastrophic event. Mm-hmm.
And it was operational for that whole period. And the hierarchy of the way that the state's set up is that if an event starts locally, then it goes from local to city if a city's involved, and then to the county, and it has to go to the county to go to the state. Through notification and through resource management. It's a very, very tight plan that's in place.
Dave also, I know, gets, depending on the time of year, he makes sure that we get information out about hurricane preparedness, about wildfire safety.
Which is coming up.
Right, that's right around the corner, and it seems like we're in a drought again.
Very much so.
But yeah, he does a phenomenal job, and it's a phenomenal facility. You mentioned earlier finance and administrative support. Mm-hmm. You know, those are not the things that most people think about when they think about firefighters, but I know it's a really important part of your department.
Absolutely, and you know, that's a part of our logistics, if you will, and folks just like in the military. You know, what the citizens see is they see the soldier or the Marine on the front line. And people are just not aware of how much logistics and planning is involved, which all of that takes people, in order to make that happen. You know, someone has to provide the hardware, and your Department of Public Safety is the same way. The ambulances that they see on the street, the fire trucks, the vehicles that are used, the uniforms, all of that that's involved, the bandaging material, the hoses, you know, and everything. We have to have processes in place to buy those, and which we do on a competitive basis.
Right.
But in order to do that, we have to have people that see that the processes are handled accordingly, and that's through finance. Those are also the folks that works diligently for us to get reimbursed for our efforts whenever we have a disaster.
Oh, okay.
So like in 1998, when we had the large wildfires, and then again in 2000, 2002, and 2004 with the hurricanes. Once an event reaches a certain level and becomes federal, state or federal as a matter of fact, we are eligible for reimbursement. Mm-hmm. And it's the individuals that oversee our finance and administration support that processes that. make sure all the documentation's done appropriately and everything. And the other group that's within that same section is our, we title them as our revenue and collections.
Right.
And that's from our EMS billing, which as stated earlier, the last 12 months we had a 76% collection ratio. And that is on first time out. And it's phenomenal that we have one that high. We have other systems come and look at our department to see how we're able to do that, because the industry standard is about 60% or less.
Well, how are you able to do that?
Because it begins with our system, which is our reporting system, which is totally automated.
Uh-huh.
And then with the field user who documents it appropriately, gets all the necessary information.
Right.
And then it comes into the office, and the individuals that are in the office love their job.
Right.
And they see the importance of it, that everything works together so as if we're one unit, and they process it, if you know, and correct things if there's things that need, or omissions that need to be taken care of. So in many cases, we're able to get actually get an invoice out the next day.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. And so it's all just a system, mm-hmm. and it takes every person within that system to make it work and work efficiently.
What is the fee if you take advantage of ambulance services?
Well, if you are required to use it, we actually have several fees.
Okay.
But the advanced life support fee, which is where we would put a cardiac monitor on you, or start an intravenous line, or an advanced airway technique. The base fee for that is around $400, okay. And then you have to add mileage, and then fees, service fees on top of that.
Do insurance companies pick up those charges?
Many times they do,
they?
And that's another thing that we do. We do third-party billing in the department, but it is completely company by company.
Right.
Some insurance companies do, some do not, but it all comes, you know, it comes back to the responsibility of the user.
So you've got just savvy people working for you that understand this process?
We have, I prefer to say that we have caring people.
Caring.
And
caring and savvy.
Caring and savvy, that are dedicated to their job,
right.
that love what they do, and they see the bigger picture of how we work.
Well, as the first hire of the Alachua County Fire Department back in 1980 to being the chief now, I'm sure it's been a phenomenal journey for you, and so nice to have you here.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
And don't be a stranger. We'll have you on again, I'm sure.
Look forward to coming back.